when I was an undergraduate back in the old days, I knew not one person at Bowdoin that really aspired to teach as a profession. I knew people wanted to be doctors. I knew people wanted to be business. It was in quotes a good school. And if you went to a good school and you wanted to teach, people kept asking why. Why don't you do something else? And I still think our business suffers from that. And I think a lot of it is because of these issues. I said the deal, and when I was at the ed school, the deal we make with educators is that we're not going to pay you a lot of money, but you're going to get a lot of time off. And that's the deal. And when you're in school and someone offers you that as a deal, who takes that deal? And it's not like you're talking about 18 and 19-year-olds. I'm not talking about professionals. I'm talking about a young person who's trying to decide what they want to do with the rest of their life and how it's valued. See, we can think of teachers as adults. I'm talking kids. What is it that makes a kid want to come in and do this work? We have not structured this as a real profession where we tell folks, look, we want the best. We want the brightest. You may not get in this unless you can demonstrate that you're committed. And then we pay them like professionals, and we treat them like professionals. And here comes the challenge. In the professional world, we work as long as we need to work to get the job done. No one has to tell Michelle, you got to work late tonight. If you got work to do, guess what? Weekends? Oh, yes, you're going to work weekends. Summertime, you work whenever that's how we all work up here. Every single person here works but that, to me, is a professional. Factory workers are told when the bell blows, your job is done. We don't want factory workers. We want professionals, and within the union structure, we have to figure out how to allow, because I'm talking the psychology of your job. Right? I'm talking about the psychology of what do you think about your job? What governs your relationship and your commitment to your job? If it is a piece of paper, right, that this is the only thing I can do based on that, then you're going to get a certain type of person who feels constrained by that piece of paper. We want people to come into this and say, God, look, these are my kids. I got 28 of them, and I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make those kids make it. And if I have to come in here Saturdays and Sundays, because I'm a professional, and this is my job, and this is why I chose it. So somewhere in this, we've got to rethink the contract between people coming into this business, right, and what it means. And when they see that they are treated like professionals, thought of as smart and talented people who are committed. Not because the contract says they're committed to this because they're committed to those young people. I think we're going to change the talent pool. But I think it's a transaction. I think it's both what we pay. You cannot borrow $80,000 and come and work for $30,000 a year. Just the math doesn't work. And kids aren't dumb. They figure that out very quickly. I can't do that. So we've got to have a deal so that it actually works, because I honestly think this is the most important business in the nation right now. The rest of the nation's businesses will not do well unless we get this part right here. So I think there's a time to rethink this, right? And by the way, we can rethink it. I mean, I always tell my staff whenever there's obstacles, I say, but it's just us. There's really nobody else but us to figure this thing out. We could all sit down and really figure this out. And I think this is hopefully what this movie is going to do. I blame the ed schools, right? Because they also do this. I tell everybody, they told me teaching was so hard you could only do it for 8 months. Then you had to take time off. Well, it's not true, right? I mean, it is hard, and it's exhausting. And it's hard to do, but you could do a full year of teaching the same way doctors, you know what interns go through to just make it through medical school? They work these poor people to death. But they survive. They do the 5 and 6 years. They survive, and they flourish, and they learn their field, and they move forward. Teachers are no different. They really are no different. They ought to be as talented, as committed, and as able to have the stamina to work that hard, to produce for our kids. That's what our nation needs. It needs a core group of folk who honestly believe this is what, work me to death. I am ready to do this for my children, right? And let me I'm going to take this one prerogative and just say, because you asked Michelle this, and the other thing in our business is it does take courage. It does take courage. I have been in places where I've tried to do the right thing and people have yelled at me. They haven't been able to vote me out, which is, I'm sure the people in Harlem would probably like to be able to do that. But to stand up for what you believe when the very people you are helping turn against you, and not to waver is a real testament to courage and real belief. And if I was a kid in school today, I would be looking at what Michelle has done and saying to myself, that's what I want to do. I want to figure out how I can get that good to do that job.